If someone removes all the negative energy from their life, there will be no opposite energy to counterbalance the positive. The result is that the person stops fully appreciating life's subtle details that inspire happiness or wondrous pleasures. Without negative energy, there is no valuable way to measure positivity. Consequently, the bigger positives become less significant and the smaller positives become empty. When someone gets stuck in that loop, they will not thrive, but instead sense an itch in the back of their mind, which slowly grows into a scratch that is impossible to ignore. That is when every positive thing in their life turns sour, making everything seem empty and meaningless. When this happens, the person who experiences it will know the true feeling of nihilism. But a person can only adhere to nihilism for so long before it takes on a destructive life of its own. Not that nihilism isn't inherently destructive. If nothing matters, then neither does the future. So you can only imagine how destructive it can get when it spirals completely out of control. This negative energy often manifests itself in suicides, addiction, depression, and substance abuse. For those who successfully take their own lives, it's too late. However, for those who survive addiction, alcoholism, great loss, or mental illness, to name a few, they often come through a journey from relative heights to the lowest lows, and thereby unlock insights into real suffering in the face of hopelessness. A person who has survived true suffering will initially struggle to come to terms with the many horrifying, traumatizing, and life-changing experiences they endured during their lowest points. To put it into perspective, there's a reason many people don't survive rock bottom. They don't find their own version of hope to cling to. But when survivors of their own negative choices and outcomes start to improve, which unfortunately is often not the case, they will, in a psychological sense, have traveled to hell and back. They gain a perspective they lacked before, a perspective that comes with powerful insights. These insights allow them to appreciate life's subtle joys and recognize the equal exchange of good and bad energy, whose balance has the potential to propel them to heights they couldn't have dreamed of before experiencing their personal fall from grace. Even if it seems obvious that such a trade-off exists, it can be hard for people to reach this conclusion. For many, it seems far safer to assume the role of the blameless victim, attributing their misfortunes to other people or circumstances. It might feel like this lessens the load for a while, but by diverting the cause and effect relationship away from themselves, they trick themselves into firmly believing that everyone else is at fault. This creates a problem. The victim seldom sees any reason to change and as a result becomes stuck in a loop of victimization and helplessness. By failing to acknowledge their own flaws, they become blind to them and unable to work toward improvement. Alternatively, they might become so concerned with hiding their flaws that they develop severe anxiety, making it difficult to live a fulfilling life. On the other side of the coin are the self-aware victims, who see everything they do as flawed and believe everything they say is inferior or uninteresting. People like this overthink everything, especially in situations where others might be watching. At bedtime, their thoughts are often dominated by self-criticism about every interaction or decision they made during the day. These two types of victims represent different poles of the same spectrum, when ideally they should be closer to the center. But with people, nothing is entirely static. Most mental processes are highly dynamic. Many victims eventually recognize their way of thinking, enabling them to take accountability for their actions. Those who embark on the path of hard truths gradually witness a whole new and exciting world open before their eyes, a world of danger and safety, pitfalls and possibilities. Who is to say that safety isn't the path toward pitfalls, while danger paves the way for possibilities? One might hope that those who journey into darkness and emerge into light will become more cautious of pitfalls and more engaged with possibilities. That might not always be the case, but for those who do, they carry the lessons of their journey to hell with them. The safety of comfort is a sure way to fall into despair. The danger of possibility is a precursor to the peace one might achieve. The hope of achievement should outweigh the safety of comfort. To summarize some of my thoughts so far, when the surplus of lesser good energy has successfully corrupted the major good energy, tricking one into believing it is negative energy, the inability to appreciate the good in life takes hold. Those who have been on a trip to hell and back may face more trips, but each time they will be better equipped to handle it. Hell becomes a familiar realm for survivors of self-tyranny. After every journey into hell, the old tyrant within is overthrown and replaced by a new, slightly better one, ruling more wisely than the last. With every cycle between heaven and hell, thoughts move further away from despair and exaggerated joy, gradually tuning the mind to the earthly counterbalance between these opposing forces. At least that's how it seems to me. The short walk from birth to death is a long one, and much can happen in between. Many people you love will likely die before you do. War is a constant threat, not to mention the battle for freedom of thought in today's world. Those who haven't conquered their personal darkness may break in the face of unimaginable external darkness. Conversely, those who have faced their own inner demons may have experience in combating the new ones that knock on their door. Of course, people who have endured real darkness may still fall into despair, and those who have had good fortune in life may still fend off external darkness. But generally speaking, our experiences shape perspectives that might not be obvious to others. The counterbalance applies to all. No one can stray too far to one side of any spectrum without opposing forces pulling from the other side, or without initiating an entirely new cycle. With death comes birth, and with birth comes death. If there were too few people on Earth, a large number would die while repopulating until population growth once again fueled itself. When the Earth becomes overcrowded, people will die to restore balance. This cycle or dance repeats endlessly, or so it seems. Should humanity reach critical points at both extremes, annihilation could result, whether through atomic warfare or the arrival of a predator that eradicates humanity. If this happens, who's to say the cycle wouldn't repeat far in the future, with a new intelligent species evolving? Do you see where I'm going with this? It's not a conspiracy theory, just thoughts. There is balance in everything. Constricting forces pull the counterweight to each side of the scale. With every single thing, there is a cycle and a balance. The cycle is part of the balance, just as the balance is part of the cycle, with neither standing higher than the other. There is great beauty in that.